And welcome back. Here's video number 2. A little bit more in depth to the front of the car this time. Forgot to mention last time that both the front doors have these old school tip out windows here for vents. They work really well, and they both seem to function, so that's a plus. And then this is just the single rear view mirror. It would only have been on the driver's side. That's all they did back then. You could buy additional ones that would clamp on to the edge of the doors for if you were towing a trailer or something and you wanted the mirror to be out further. They had some of those, and then you could also buy an aftermarket one, or really you would just buy a second one of these, and people would add them on to the second side, but that hasn't been done here. So the hood, start before I open it, that again, this is in the nautical theme of Plymouth. So that is sort of a boat. And 1950s, it was all about the jet age as well. So it was kind of the wake of what's the spoil that's coming off of the boat here. It's supposed to sort of represent the wake of the water, but it's also wings of a jet age kind of feel to it. And then that's their hood ornament. It's looked better. Some crazing in the glass to it, but I'll run with it for now. This is early, like, injection molded type plastic that is in here. I'm really surprised it's lasted this long. You see some cracks in here, but it's a translucent plastic, so I think I could get some modern flat LEDs behind there and actually make that thing light up. I think it'll look really cool. So that's the plan to try at some point. Hood goes up. Let's see. Radiator, of course. This is the fan blower motor here. We'll get to that in a second. Both horns. It was traditional back then to have a horn that was about 300 hertz and then one that was 500 hertz. They blended together. And so it was a little easier to hear. It would cut through background noise a little better when they went with two frequencies like that. Some of the radiator hoses and so forth, I think, have seen better days, but I'm not really worried because this engine is coming out. Flathead, 6 cylinders. You can see the 6 spark plugs in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And let's see what else is in here. This is your throttle linkage here. This connects over to, oops, my hand was in the way, over to the carburetor here. And then down there, it's going to connect to the throttle pedal. So that's how you accelerate. This big monstrosity here is an old-fashioned oil system. It was before the disposable cartridge style, and that you take this cap off here, and then an insert filter goes in there. It's quite messy, and most people would replace them. You can get modern replacements, so you can do the spin-on type filter versus that old one. This battery here looks like a regular car battery, but it's not quite. It's a 6-volt battery, and that was the standard back then for cars and tractors, and actually 6-volt system has lived on a lot longer in tractor land than it did in car land. But with all the accessories and everything people wanted in cars and the larger V8 engines, it required more cranking power to turn the starter and to run all of our CBs and stereos and power windows, power brakes, power seats, all that stuff. So they switched to the 12-volt system, which is a much more robust, reliable spark. Everything works better. Another thing is they used a positive ground, unlike today's batteries and electrical charging systems in cars that use a negative ground. These guys used a positive ground. So you see, that's the negative. This one here is pos. And pos goes right down here to the engine block because that's grounded, as we would say, even though it's a positive ground. So it's quite confusing. Starter relays, ballast resistor. This is another one of those relays for running. Can't tell what that one does. Armature and field, and I'll have to figure that one out. That's the air filter, this guy here on the top, and the oil bath air filter. So there's a layer, or a pool of oil that sits down in the bottom, or would have in the past. It's probably not in there now. But again, it's all coming out. So this is the generator down here, replaced by modern alternators today. They were less efficient. They worked, but they were just less efficient. And so the modern alternator is smaller and puts out more juice. Now on this side, this was back to when we were on the inside. We were looking at this stuff. This is the add-on heater controls. That's why it's down on the bottom of the dash. That could have been added on by the dealer, probably, or you could have purchased it as an aftermarket part, a motor part, motor part, and you could have theoretically installed it yourself, but I think this one might have been done just by the dealer. And so this is the fan that blows the air in. This is your heat exchanger box, and the controls connect up to this to control a flapper valve in there. And this just goes around the exhaust, I believe. No, it doesn't. It has water pipes to it. So there's a heat exchanger that comes off the cooling of the engine, and then it exchanges in this box here. I thought I had read that they just took dry air off of the exhaust tubing that came out, the hot exhaust header and tubing that comes out, but perhaps not. I read a lot of things that I confuse. More wiring. Some of it's in good condition or decent condition. You can see that this is starting to fray here. It's a little worse up here, like on the headlights, that it's cracking underneath, and it's just brittle. It just falls away. So all the wiring is going to come out, and I'm going to replace it with a modern harness, modern wiring, and it'll look and act a whole heck of a lot better. Let's see, I think that's about it for now. That pretty much covers the front of the car. This is the old radiator here. Still might be good. It fits in the space required, but it might not just give us enough cooling capacity for what we want to do with a new engine. And as you can see, not good with the lower radiator hose. That's just looking to break. So yeah, I think this setup is with the parts missing on the bottom. It's just a little too much effort right now to put money into getting it running when I know I'm going to take it out anyway. It would have been fun to do had it been a little closer to working, but I think the prudent move is to just go ahead and do the engine swap. Distributor, missing the distributor cap. Vacuum advance. Yep. Okay, so that's episode 2. Until next time, see ya.